Hello. In this video, I will break down my routine step by step, what I do every single day to learn German. At the moment, I'm learning German, so this is what my routine looks like, but it looked like the same for when I was learning Spanish, and you can adapt it however you would like for the language that you're learning, or you can take parts of it however it's useful for you and it applies to you the best way. I was born and raised in Hong Kong. My parents are from Pakistan, and in school, I learned English and Cantonese, Chinese, and at home, I learned Urdu. So I come from a background of Asian languages. I had no idea about European languages and how they function, but with this strategy and with this routine, I was able to dissect them and learn them and eventually speak them. So let's get straight into it. Step number one, you have to find your time. You have to find the time at which your brain processes things the best and in the most efficient manner. For me, this is the first thing after waking up. So when I wake up, I get my coffee, and the first thing I do is to sit on my table and start learning German. I do this for 30 to 40 minutes every single day because I know the first hour of the day is when my brain is the most fresh because I've just woken up and I'm able to absorb new information fastest. You want to be able to identify that period and that time for you because that is the state that you want to be in when you're learning languages. Learning language is a lot of mental energy, it is a lot of mental work. You want to be able to do it when your brain processes things the fastest. Number two, start with something simple. Now you've sat down and 30 minutes, the 40-minute clock is starting to tick. You don't want to start with something complicated because you want to enter the flow state where you're able to work through things without even noticing the time is going by. If you start with something that's very complicated, you will give up or you will get distracted. So you want to start with something simple but still allows you to get into the rhythm of things, helps you to start to think in that language and get you into the zone. For me, this is basically just reviewing old vocab. So I have an Excel where I've written down all of my vocabs and sentence structures that I previously have reviewed, so I know them, and I just look through them. I just scroll through them to get a sense of that language again, to get a sense of those words that I've learned, and I don't actively try to memorize anything over here. This is just a period for me to get into the rhythm of things and start to feel like I'm ready for absorbing and creating in this language. Which brings me to my third step. The third step is deciding on which input do you want to receive for the day. This can either be a video that you want to listen to, a podcast you want to listen to, a book that you want to read. Personally, I prefer an 8 to 10 minute video or a podcast where I have access to the transcript or subtitles that are validated so that I'm able to note down all of the new words and structures as accurately as possible and as fast as possible. You want to be able to identify your input of that day. And as I'm watching this video, whatever it is, I'm noting down vocabs and new structures that I want to be able to use in my life. And also some of the old ones that I've noticed one more time. And I'm like, oh, I've not actually thought about that word in that context. So let me just revise this one more time. I do around 5 to 7 each time. I don't do a whole list because I know that I will forget it. And so it is much better to start with something that is manageable for the time that you have and get good at recognizing and using those words actively than having a long list of vocabs that you know, but you can't actually use them in sentences. Now that we have these words and sentences noted down, what do we actually do with them? We build sentences, but we don't write them down. You don't write the sentences down, you speak them. Now, a lot of the times people get into the zone of writing down sentences using the words and the structures that they have noted. But the problem with that is it is training your writing skill. It's not training your speaking skill. It's not training you to actually speak with other people. Because when we are writing, we have that processing time of making the grammar perfect before we finish the sentence. But when it comes to speaking, we don't have that. When we talk with other people, we're expected to answer immediately. We're expected to frame our thoughts immediately. And the processing time between our brain and our mouth is almost non-existent. And that is the difference between people that speak very fluid and speak very natural and those people that have perfect grammar, but somehow their speech is a bit unnatural, is slower, and there's more interruptions. You want to be able to train that skill and train that muscle that allows you to recognize a word, think about what you want to say, and be able to say it as quickly as possible. And the only way to do it is to be able to get those repetitions in. So once you know the words, the new words that you want to know, you want to be able to learn, start building sentences, even if they are filled with grammatical errors. The key is to be able to be more automatic with the words that you have identified and with the way your speech comes out of your mouth. Now, obviously, we don't want to have grammatical errors all the time, otherwise, we would be learning the entire language wrong. This is where the next step comes in. You need feedback. I know that it's very difficult to get feedback when you're not enrolled in a course, when you don't have a teacher, which is why AI is super useful. We can use ChatGPT for feedback. In my previous step, when I was talking about speaking, I was not talking about speaking to thin air. I was talking about speaking to ChatGPT. Yes, talk to ChatGPT. Open the voice record mode or use that voice record mode and speak those sentences as you see those new words directly into ChatGPT. Let's say that I've noted down the word unordentlich today. It's a new word that I've learned, and I will try to make sentences with this word. And I will typically just directly speak with ChatGPT on my laptop. Sometimes I do it with my phone, but the key is to avoid writing the sentence down or avoid thinking too much about what you want to say in terms of the grammatical structure, but rather to create that sentence directly from your mind. Ich glaube, in Salzburg sehen meine Haare ein bisschen unordentlich aus. Ich weiß nicht, woran es liegt, aber ich erinnere mich daran, dass das in Hong Kong auch der Fall war. So obviously I formed multiple sentences, but I always try to make sentences connect with each other using different structures and words, because I've reached that level where I can produce more complex sentences, where I can produce longer sentences. So I really try to use every word as a practice for me to start formulating my thoughts in German, so that it's not just about creating one sentence in a specific context, but rather to connect your thoughts and really try to practice and train your brain in thinking in this language. ChatGPT is already prompted to correct my sentences grammatically. So once I have sent these sentences to ChatGPT, ChatGPT then gives me feedback. It corrects my sentence, and I can visually see where I have made the mistake and what the sentences should be looking like. And I repeat this with every single new word and structure that I have noted down for the day. Doing this allows me to get many reps in because I have more time to use this word in different contexts, in different tenses, in past, present, etc., in different structures, instead of using the time to write down grammatically perfect sentences, which takes a lot more time than just speaking sentences. ChatGPT is also free. You don't need the pro version to be able to do that, and you're able to get feedback immediately and also incorporate it the next time you use that vocab or the next time you use that structure. The last step is something that's optional, but it definitely helps. Because I use ChatGPT on my phone, I have access to my phone all the time. So throughout the day, whenever I have time and I'm using my phone, for instance, when I'm commuting, for instance, when I have nothing to do, I just look through my chat with ChatGPT again and look at those sentences again that I've created in the morning. What this does is spaced repetition. You want to be able to repeat the structure, the word at regular times until it becomes stored in your long-term memory and you don't need to actively try to memorize it again and again. So you want to be able to use this to your advantage. When you have your phone with you, then you can use it to access immediately the sentences that you have created, not the words, but really sentences that you have created with your own way of expressing yourself, with your own thoughts, and be able to repeat them again, listen to them again as well, so that it gets ingrained in your long-term memory. And that's it. That was the entire routine. And I do this every single day for 30 to 40 minutes. And over the last few months, I noticed my progress go up very quickly. I spend most of my time in my routine practicing output, practicing speaking. I am getting input, but I'm also practicing a lot of output. And when you do that every single day, your speaking naturally improves. You will really see a difference in how fast you speak the language and how natural you sound when you speak the language. I really hope this helps, and I really hope that you were able to get something out of this routine. If you did, feel free to let me know and also comment down below. Would love to know how you guys have incorporated or whether you actually do this already. Feel free to follow for more tips and for more advice because I have so many that I want to share. I hope this helps, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.